So if you didn't get a chance, once again, let me share this. If you didn't get a chance to do any of your homework, that means example 2, example 3, and numbers what 3 to 6 from the homework are not done at all. And so might as well do it. I wanted you to get a chance to at least try completing the square, the quadratic formula on your own, because today I wanted to show you how certain questions, you don't need to do that to solve it. It actually makes life a lot easier if questions are set up in this way, but you won't see the difference unless you try. I also have an exercise for you. Instead of getting you to solve all of these, I'm actually going to get you to start from number 3 all the way to 10 and see if you can identify what you're supposed to do. So identify what they're asking for. Identify what they're asking for, and then see if you can identify what that means mathematically so that you can choose a technique that might help you. If you can do that, most of, in my opinion, our Tuesday's quest, it's not going to be a full test, it's going to be 40 minutes, and I'm going to give you a review sheet today, or a review thing. It will be a lot easier to manage. If you can figure out on your own what you're supposed to use, then practice doing it will be that much more effective, right? So I don't know how your brain might work at this point in time and how much practice you've had, but I'm gonna get you to go through this first, okay? So yeah, let's get this out of the way. I am going to switch up, go back to our assignment. Let's fill in example 3. Yes, yes. Let's fill in example 3. I want to show you how questions like this don't need any special technique. You just have algebra. So consider this. Step 1, let's figure out what they want. Okay? A bus company charges $2 a ticket and wants to raise it by 10 cents. The revenue that could be generated is modeled by, oh look, an equation in vertex form. X is the number of price increases. Rx is revenue in dollars. How many price increases? Right there. I'm going to highlight that thing. I left it in red. How many price increases, bam, they already asked you for something, should there be if the revenue target is 21,000? There's no mention of in thousands or anything, you just plug that in. Mathematically, I want you to take 30 seconds. Look at this question. Take 30 seconds and figure out what are they asking for and what did they give me in terms of X and Y. I know that the question could give you height based on time or something like that, right? But forget what the actual color is. What is it in terms of y equals, if this is y equals -40, x minus 5 squared plus 2,500. What do they want and what did they give? You basically have a 50-50 chance. Do they want x and they gave me a y, or did they give me x and they're asking for the y? Another 15 seconds. All right. Maybe I should have done this in different colors so that you know what's asked for what. All right. Here we go. Here's what it says. How many price increases? What does that refer to? Does that refer to X or does that refer to R? I think we can both agree that it is going to refer to X because they define X as a number of price increases. So when they ask how many price increases, what they're asking for is what's X? Can you connect that idea? They say X is the number of price increases, and they ask how many price increases, right? It's just a matter of reading. That means the alternative, the blue, must be the Y value. And I think you could agree to that because it says the revenue is 21,000, or the revenue target is 21,000. So putting this together with my equation, it is 21,000 equals -40 x minus 5 squared plus 25. Right. I'll give you another 30 seconds after you copy this down. The question is this: what is the number of price increases? What is X? Here's an equation, and here's my X. How do I solve this? Some people are like, quadratic formula, complete the square. I'm gonna go through both of those and explain why it might or might not be useful for you. And then we'll solve it. Can you figure out what to do? Molly's here, Jen, and Samantha, Michael, Nadia, and right. I hope you have something in your head. Let's start with quadratic formula. Why is quadratic formula not appropriate? What's the purpose of it? Sorry, let's start with, or how about we start with computing the square? What is the purpose of computing the square? What do you get from computing the square? Yep. Other one. Not X into that's actually plot formula, right? It helps find x-intercept, or rather the roots. Just help find roots when y equals 0. Okay. Computing the square actually gets you vertex form. In other words, helps find vertex. So the question is, do I need vertex here? Are they asking for the maximum or the minimum number of something? No, it didn't mention anything about maximum or minimum. They want a specific x value. So this is what quadratic formula could help you with, right? So it helps find roots when y equals a specific value. However, there's actually a backdoor way you can do this question. The quadratic formula is useful when you are given an equation in the form of something is a 0 is equal to something in standard form. Right now, it's already in vertex form. Here's another difference. The quadratic formula helps find the roots because there are way too many places where you find an x. Here, you only find one x. So for questions like this where you only have one x, how about I write this? Questions where you need x, you must find x, but only one x can go back to our grade 9-10 skills of just using algebra. And I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Morning, Aiden. We're just looking back at a yesterday sheet, just continuing on with example 3. Questions where you must find x, but only one x is present. Just use algebra. A little messy. Should I type this up? Must find x, but only one x term is present. Just use algebra. Okay. What does that mean? Well, take a look. I want x all alone. Well, by reverse BEDMAS, I am going to leave this alone. I'll do this later. By reverse BEDMAS, I have to get rid of the positive 25,000. So subtract both sides by 25,000. I will do that for you very quickly. Minus 25,000. And what you do to one side, you must do it all to the other side, which brings us negative 4,000 equals negative 40 x minus 5 squared. And that's obviously a 0, so you don't have to write it. From there, I will divide both sides by negative 40. Because again, reverse BEDMAS, I want this left alone. This is the bracket with the exponent. The multiplication division, I'm going to get rid of first. So this is x minus 5 squared. If I divide both sides by negative 40, this becomes positive 100. Next, x minus 5. Inside the bracket, I am going to leave alone. By reverse BEDMAS, I have to do the exponent first. How do I get rid of an exponent? And that would be square root both sides. If I square root both sides, on the right side, I'm just left with x minus 5. And on the right side, I am left with a square root of 100, which I'm sure you can figure out is going to be 10. But here's the catch. Here's the catch. When you square root something, at this level of math, you should already know that it could be a positive or a negative value. In other words, this could be a positive or a negative 10. I'm running out of space, so I'm going to push this up a little bit. And that brings us to our final line. How do I get x all alone? Well, subtraction of 5. Now that we're inside the bracket, you get rid of a negative 5 by adding 5 to both sides. Guess what? X is going to equal a positive 10 plus 5 or a negative 10 plus 5. What are my two answers? Let's do it this way. Where's my answer key? 10 plus 5, 15. And negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5. What does that mean? Go all the way back to my original question. X represents the number of price increases. So if I increase the price by or if I increase the price 15 times, so 10 cents, 15 times $1.50, right? So therefore, to reach revenue of 2,100 or 21,000, sorry, the price must increase by increase 15 times. Someone want to interpret the -5. Is it acceptable? Do we reject it? What does it mean? What's its significance? Should we care? Should we pay attention to it? 15 makes sense. 15 is X, and X is the number of price increases. So I'm increasing it 15 times. What the heck does -5 mean? It's not rocket science. I'm trying to increase it. What does increasing by a -5 times mean? Yeah. So in this particular model, I could still reach a revenue of $21,000 if I made it cheaper. And so if I make it cheaper in a business model, what would you expect to happen to the number of customers? So mathematically speaking, it sort of makes sense. I could increase it 15 times, which means I make it like a luxury product, right? That the ticket becomes expensive, but less people go on because it's expensive. Or I can make it super cheap, which means, oh, everyone's going to jump on board. Either way, and what business 101, what we want to do is try to balance them. Keep as much customers as possible while keeping the price as high as possible. Right? So there's that part that comes out in math, but we could increase it by 15 times or decrease 5 times. Both are acceptable. This is not like time. If time was -5, you would say, oh, that's a little weird, right? This is not the case. Both are acceptable. So here is an example where I did not use complete the square and I did not use quadratic formula because it wasn't necessary. Why? There was only one x term, and so I just used algebra. That's it. That's going to be the end of the actual lesson portion. All the other questions is just practice for the test. Before you go today, I have a sheet where you can take some, I guess, example questions of what you should work on for the test. Okay, you're going to take a sheet from me before you go. But today, I just want you to focus on this. So clearing this, is everyone okay? Is everyone okay with this? I can save it. I'll save the page just in case you want to see it, okay? Clearing this, my exercise for you, I want you to go through, let's see, number 3. Let's do number 4. Right, that's number 3, number 5, number 6. Not number 6. It's not straightforward. Number 7, number 8, and even number 9. Yeah, no, these 4. Before we even do it, I would like you to try this. Take 5 minutes and calculate. Okay, what do they want verbally? Okay, so in words. B, what does that mean? Then what do they want mathematically? So whatever you discovered is what they want verbally. What does that mean in math? Right? They're mathematical, and then what technique, tool, approach should I use? That's it. Determine that. Don't solve it. You can solve it later on. What I would like you to practice is this part. What do they want? What does that mean mathematically, and how do I get it? Good to write that. So again, I'll say it one more time. What do they want? What do they want mathematically? And then how do I get it? See if you can work on that for the first, I'm going to say 4 questions where you do that, 3 minutes each. Let's take 15 minutes and we'll go over it together. And then maybe I'll demonstrate a couple of them before we call it a day. Okay, assuming that everyone had a chance to try these questions, number 3, 5, 7, and 8, I'm going to go through what you could do to get the final answer, right? I'll do it as like step 1, step 2, or whatever. And then the rest of class, I'm going to go about making full solutions. And I'll post it online for you in case you want to look at this. Right? Let's do it. Number 3, a cliff diver dives from about 17 meters above the water. Here's, let's do X. X is red, okay? So Y. So height is in meters. After T seconds, it's modeled by this equation. Determine how, explain how to determine when the diver is 5 meters above the water. What did they ask for and what did they give you? So explain how to determine when the diver, when. Does when refer to height or does when refer to time? You have to make that decision on your own. And I hope you understand that when is time, and they give you a height. So if you break it down into x's and y's, right? If I say this is y equals negative 4.9x squared plus 1.5x plus 17, they ask for the x and then the y equals a 5. What would you do? Well, if you plug in 5 equals negative 4.9 squared plus 1.5x plus 17, you're trying to find the value of x. And the only way to do that, as far as we care right now, set the equation to 0. So this would be negative 4.9x squared plus 1.5x plus 12. And use quadratic formula. Okay, so I guess for this question, I'm going to say number 1, set y to 5, then rearrange, and then I guess breakily set y to 0. Number 2, quadratic formula. And then you can try to solve it, because that's what number 4 is asking you to do. Very quickly. Number 5, something, 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 something. Let's pretend I don't even read the question. Go to the last sentence. What is the maximum profit and how much should the tickets cost? So it's some kind of ticket question, that's fine. But what's the key word? What is the maximum profit? You are going to have to complete the square to solve this question, because that will help you find the vertex. Okay. Number 7. So it's a profit company, or it's a profit shoe company. X is a number of pairs of shoes. They give you X, which is nice. So that's in red. It's produced in thousands. And P is profit. in thousands. How many thousands of dollars, how many thousands of pairs of shoes will the company need to sell to earn a profit? By earning a profit, it means profit has to be more than 0. So you could think of this question as, what will X be if profit equals 0? So what amount will you make absolutely 0 profit? Not negative, not positive, just breaking even. When will that be a 0? And if you figure that out, you can find the rest of number 7. In this question, you will have to use quadratic formula. Okay, so set y to 0 and then use quadratic formula. Yeah. Remember, everyone, when we get to our quest, I'm not going to tell you what to do for the word question. I just give you something. You have to essentially figure it out yourself, right? Number 8, Beth wants to plant a garden at the back of her house. She has something, something, something. Here's a bunch of dimensions. The area can be modeled by this equation, where X is the width. I'll color that in red again. X is the width of the garden in meters, and the Y value is the area in square meters. What is the maximum area? Keyword. What are they looking for mathematically? Yeah, the keyword is max or min. So another way, if you're really having trouble with this, look for the word max or min. If they give you max or min, then yes, you need to complete the square to find vertex. If they have no mention of a max or a min, or an optimize, or the lowest or the highest, or anything like that, chances are you might be able to solve it using quadratic formula. Okay? So bottom line today, if you're really having trouble navigating these questions, look for the words max or min or anything along those lines. If you see a max or min, if you see the keywords max or min or anything else, that means you should complete the square and find vertex. If you don't see, so no max, min, etc., chances are most likely it's going to be a quadratic formula question. So using that as your approach, see if you can work through all these questions. Try number 3, 5, 7, and 8 first. Number 6 and number 9 require you to think a little bit more deeper and tread carefully. I highly recommend you try those questions as well, as to get more of a mix. In the rest of class, I am going to take some scrap paper and start working through these questions and provide us as a solution key for you. Any questions? All right. As a reminder, I am going to tell you about our review sheet.